We can see how life guides us with pretty much anything. I perceive everything as guidance when I'm in a high status. My name is Darko Kalki Zanmai Mirkovic. Greetings, everyone. It's been quiet for a while because life's been demanding on my presence away from the phone. But finally I find the time to wrap up the status theme. And we'll wrap it up by talking about what is a high status. So we've talked about the low status and the two different types of middle status, and it all culminates in the high status in the sense of a high status is unified in itself, in himself, in herself. So a high status is someone that knows, feels, and embodies oneness. Meaning, as a high status, I know I can never be late. As a high status, I know that I'm always in the right spot. As a high status, I know that I don't need to know the answer until the moment that the answer comes to me. And then I'll apply the answer. A high status is someone that understands that life works in a mysterious way, and therefore a high status is in awe with life itself, with the mystery that it is, because the great mystery cannot be solved. It can only be there to inspire one's actions by realizing how the mystery actually works, in the sense of that it's there, that it's all a big mystery. And it's exciting that it is like that. And therefore, it is beautiful to follow this dynamic as a high status, knowing that it's all good, it's all right. Whatever comes into our field is like we're being surfers out on the beach, out in the water, and there's wave after wave after wave. And it's silly to take it personal not to catch a wave. It's silly not to be ready to start swimming in order to catch the wave. And be like, damn you wave, why are you here so early or so late, or whatever the excuse is. A high status knows that there will be another wave. There will be another wave. And I will catch my wave. And when there is a wave coming, an impulse in our life, a high status just simply chooses whether it wants to ride it or not. And obviously, as a high status, we take full responsibility of all the outcome of our choice. There's no one to blame. That's something that a low or a middle status does, especially the incognito. But as a high status, I made my choice. I know that my choice will bring me forward. I will understand why my action had this kind of effect in the long run. It will all make sense looking at it backwards, or like, you know, from having lived through a situation and then looking at it being like, ah, yeah, it had to play out like that. It totally makes sense now. But in the situation, it might be confusing. Though as a high status, we stay in the trust, in the faith, in knowing that it's all right. Everything is playing out the way it needs to play out. And it's exciting to be playing that role. And it's funny because we have the choice to play that role, because we all are unique roles. There is no such thing as competition. How can we compete with each other when each individual person is unique? It's impossible. Even if we do the same thing, even if both of us are going to do honesty trainings, then still it will be slightly different. It will be appealing to some different person, yeah. And therefore, we all are working together in a certain way. So it is very exciting to be in the high status because everything is meaningful. And this meaning is a meaning that we give it to the situation. And it is by trusting that we are capable of giving it meaning that we can see whether we were accurate or not. We can see how life guides us with pretty much anything. I perceive everything as guidance when I'm in a high status. When I'm in one of the other stati, I tend to judge an impulse. Oh, it's because of this, it's because of that. Giving away my power because I believe it's something that is being done towards me. Instead of realizing that it's ultimately myself creating that. Out of past choices, out of past actions, this is the reflection of my life's choices. So there's no one really to blame. And therefore, all the power lies in our own hands, which is a beautiful thing. So a high status is also someone that sets the tone or sets the rhythm for the game that is being played. And the beautiful thing about it is, I remember as children when we were playing, we would make up rules for the different games, and it would always be like the high status kid that would define the most rules or that everyone else would listen to. And in reality, it is that when we are all in high status, status dissolves, and therefore we all can participate. We all can set up rules that make the game more interesting for all of us. Because we don't want to play a game where there's a winner and a loser. We want to play a game where everyone's a winner. Because we all get excited by the group energy. We all tap into that. And therefore, it makes more sense to have rules that make us all engage than just make one person engage and the rest is just cannon fodder. How boring is that? We've played that, we've tried that. Doesn't make any sense anymore. So in order to be high status, or in order to find out that you are high status, is that you enjoy what you're doing. You choose to use the breath of life to do something that is meaningful for you. That is something that is so inspiring to yourself and for yourself that it is already the reward of experiencing it. You're not waiting to see what kind of effect it has. You just enjoy doing it because it's in itself the reward. And therefore, you find yourself in a dynamic where everything is beautiful, everything is amazing, everything is exciting and inspiring. And in this kind of state, it doesn't matter what we do, it's just a question of how we interact with it. Do we stay in our own rhythm and do we stay with in our own pace? Do we realize that this is the contribution that we want to do and consciously contribute it, realizing that this is my choice and I will reap its consequences? But because it's an act of love and of trust, I know that what will come around will just help me to be in more love and more trust. So ultimately, it's the most beautiful state to be in, because it guides us towards who we really are. Deep down inside, the essence, with all the amnesia of being incarnated in a body, no matter what we've been before, that will come through naturally, because a high status is not someone that pushes things, it's someone that accepts things. And with this acceptance, I don't just mean outside influences, I also mean inside influences. A high status is clear that if a high status comes to a situation and feels a certain way, it trusts that as an impulse as well. Even the mind is just one of many voices that can bring forth inspiration for a high status. It's not like, the mind is less worth, it's the ego or something like that. No, it's just as worthy of a channel to bring forth inspiration as any other impulse. It's just in the right time, in the right moment, with the right impulse, with the right inspiration, with like it comes through with an inspiration that actually inspires us, and therefore we can act upon it. It's the most beautiful thing. And so I invite you all to believe in yourself, to trust that the dynamic you find yourself in is perfectly tailored to you, who you in your essence are. And all you have to do to realize and see this essence is to stay high status, to not play the victim game, to not give away your power, to not pretend that something outside of you has the power to make you do anything, really. So as an example, there's an improv game where you have a king and then you come as, the other person comes in as a servant. So it's like a high status and a low status. And if the low status, like the person coming to a king, is himself inside as a high status, then the king can do nothing to change the other person to perceive the king however he perceives it. What I'm trying to say is, the king is nothing but an old man sitting in a richly decorated chair to someone who is high status. If I'm in low status and I'm like, oh yes, please king, can you fulfill me or give me this or that? Then I'm giving away all my power. But if I see him as an old man and it's like, oh wow, yeah, this is just another brother, and yes, he can even threaten my life, but my body cannot, if you take my body, you still cannot scratch my soul. You cannot hurt me, the essence that I am. And therefore I have nothing to fear. I can approach the king as a brother and not as a servant. And that's so beautiful, because then we can relate with people that we used to look up to as family, as the brothers and sisters that we all are. And all a high status needs to realize is that he is. It is the I am principle. I am happening right now. My experience is happening right now. And as long as I am here, I have the ability to continue changing whatever I have seen fit to change. I carry all the power in the now. So join me in this game of sovereignty, where we all are kings, where we all are queens, where we meet each other from king to king, where we don't have to prove something, where it's not about the size of your kingdom, but about your integrity, about the way that you can rule, the way that you can inspire others and yourself. The true hero's journey, because a true hero already is a king. All right. Join me in this game. The more we are, the easier it gets, and the more fun we'll have. Hear and see you soon. Enjoy this beautiful life. Bye-bye.